The first signs were subtle, almost unnoticeable, tiny distortions in the data streams from Earth's outer satellites. At first, analysts dismissed them as glitches, solar flares, cosmic radiation, static. But over the course of hours, those distortions grew, forming patterns that no natural phenomenon could produce. Something was out there, something massive, and it was moving with intent. Commander Adrian Hayes sat in the dimly lit operations center of the Horizon Vanguard, a massive orbital station hovering just beyond the moon's shadow. The hum of life support systems was the only sound that broke the tense silence. He leaned forward, eyes scanning the flickering screens, every muscle coiled like a spring. Even after 20 years in the United Earth Defense Force, nothing had prepared him for this. A fleet of unknown origin, approaching the Sol system with methodical precision, as if the planets themselves were checkpoints on some deadly path. Lieutenant Sarah Kim stood beside him, her face illuminated by the soft blue glow of the monitors. She hadn't slept in nearly 24 hours, and the dark circles under her eyes betrayed the fatigue she tried to hide. "Sir," she said, her voice low, almost hesitant, "the signals, they're not just approaching. They're scanning. Every satellite, every orbital defense array. They're mapping us." Adrian's jaw tightened. "They think they're invisible," he muttered. "They think we don't see them. But they're wrong." From the command deck, Dr. Evelyn Carter, the station's lead astrophysicist, stepped forward. Her auburn hair was pulled back into a tight braid, and her glasses reflected the scrolling data on the holographic screens. "It's not just a reconnaissance mission," she said, her tone sharp with concern. "They're studying us, our orbits, our defenses, even our communication patterns. This is a strike fleet. They're calculating the exact moment to hit." The word strike hung in the air like a thunderclap. Adrian stood straighter, the familiar weight of command settling on his shoulders. "And we've been ready," he said. "Not just for defense, but for the counterstrike. They don't know it, but they're walking into a trap." On Earth, preparations had begun quietly. Cities bustled with ordinary life, unaware that beneath their feet, engineers were coordinating satellite decoys, energy grids, and orbital artillery. Humanity's most advanced weapons systems, long considered theoretical or impractical, had been activated. Railguns, massive electromagnetic cannons capable of firing projectiles at incredible velocities, had been positioned on every continent. Each one was hidden, camouflaged, or disguised, waiting for the right moment to unleash destruction. Back on the Horizon Vanguard, Adrian's hands hovered over the console, tension coiling in his fingers. The alien fleet, tens of ships larger than anything humanity had ever imagined, was moving steadily inward, following a path that suggested confidence, arrogance, and a fatal underestimation of their prey. "They're coming faster than predicted," Sarah said, eyes darting across the monitors. "They're almost impatient." "That's perfect," Adrian replied. "Patience is our weapon, and they've just played right into it." Dr. Carter activated a series of holographic projections, showing the fleet's movement in real time. Each alien vessel was represented by a sleek, angular icon, moving in formations that were elegant, terrifying, and precise. "They think they're striking first," she said. "They think they're in control. But look here." She pointed at a cluster of decoy satellites orbiting the moon. "Every move they make has been predicted. Every approach vector they choose, they're being guided. Straight into our kill zones." Adrian allowed himself a grim smile. "All we need now is patience, precision, and timing. One wrong move and humanity loses. But so far they've been very cooperative." Hours passed like hours of ice. Every radar ping, every sensor reading was a heartbeat in a symphony of tension. The alien fleet had no hesitation at all, their movements almost mechanical, as if programmed by a single cold mind. Adrian felt a shiver run down his spine. These weren't invaders in the traditional sense. They were predators, calculating every variable, anticipating every potential threat. Then, just past the halfway point of their lunar approach, the first anomaly occurred. One of the alien ships broke formation, veering slightly closer to the moon's surface. The station's sensors flared red and alarms blared. Sarah's hands flew over the console. "They're investigating the decoys," she shouted. They've noticed them. Adrian didn't flinch. Good, let them notice. Let them think they've found a weakness. He leaned closer to the main display. Every adjustment they make, every hesitation, they're moving exactly where we want them. Not realizing, of course, that each step brings them closer to annihilation. Dr. Carter's voice was steady, even as her hands moved rapidly across the holographic interface. Our railguns are online. Every continental system is synchronized with this station. Once they're within range, there's no escape. Not for them. Not for their arrogance. Outside the station, space seemed to hold its breath. The vast emptiness of the void contrasted with the tension inside the bridge. The stars, indifferent and distant, blinked coldly. Yet in that silent theater, humanity had choreographed a deadly dance, anticipating every movement, every miscalculation, every fatal decision of the intruders. Hours turned into a tense day. The alien fleet closed steadily, their colossal silhouettes casting faint shadows over the moon as they moved. They were unaware of the trap, unaware of the network of decoys and hidden artillery lying in wait. To them, the human defenses were scattered, weak, chaotic. To humanity, they were walking straight into the jaws of destruction. Adrian's pulse quickened as he watched the first alien scouts move past the moon. All stations, prepare for observation, he ordered. Let's make sure every shot counts when the time comes. We don't get a second chance. Sarah Kim's eyes never left the displays. Sir, the readings, they're perfect. They're following the bait exactly as predicted. They're walking into it like lambs. Good, Adrian said, his voice low but firm. Because once they're fully inside the trap, it won't be just a fight. It'll be a lesson. From the corner of the bridge, Dr. Carter added, almost in a whisper, they planned humanity's end, and they have no idea they're about to meet it. Outside, the alien fleet continued its silent glide toward Earth, each movement unknowingly orchestrated by human hands. Inside the Horizon Vanguard, the calm before the storm was palpable. Every soldier, every scientist, every officer knew the stakes. The galaxy could have witnessed the end of humanity, but thanks to cunning, patience, and unyielding resolve, the predator was about to become the prey. Adrian Hayes stood tall, jaw set, eyes fixed on the approaching fleet. For the first time in decades, he felt a surge of something almost forgotten in the military ranks. Hope. But it was tempered with the cold reality of what was about to unfold. Humanity's survival depended on precision, on timing, on the ability to outthink a species that had assumed it was superior, and as the alien scouts drew closer, unaware of the storm waiting for them, the bridge of the Horizon Vanguard was alive with a single, shared purpose: to turn what could have been humanity's end into the beginning of a reckoning the galaxy would never forget. By the second day, the alien fleet had advanced into the inner solar system, skimming past Mars and closing steadily on Earth. Each ship moved with terrifying precision, their angular hulls reflecting the pale sunlight like shards of obsidian. From orbit, the Horizon Vanguard tracked their every maneuver. The data poured in at a relentless pace, forming patterns that told a story Adrian Hayes knew well: arrogance, overconfidence, fatal overconfidence. They're moving too fast, Lieutenant Sarah Kim said, her voice tense. Her fingers flew over the controls, recalibrating sensors and energy projections. If they reached the inner orbital corridors ahead of schedule, the timing for the railgun strikes could be compromised. Adrian shook his head, refusing to let panic enter his tone. No, Sarah, that's exactly what we want. Patience isn't just a weapon, it's a trap. They're falling into it perfectly. Dr. Evelyn Carter's holographic projections illuminated the command deck. Each alien vessel was represented in intricate detail, their trajectories calculated and displayed in real time. They've underestimated us at every turn, she said. Her voice was calm, analytical, but a trace of awe lingered beneath. Every maneuver they make confirms our predictions. They don't know the true breadth of our defenses. We've channeled them into corridors where our firepower is concentrated. They're walking into the jaws of annihilation. Adrian nodded, gripping the railing as he stared at the alien formation. And they'll keep walking. No hesitation, no second guessing. Their pride blinds them. On Earth's surface, preparations were reaching their final stages. Railguns, massive electromagnetic cannons hidden across continents, hummed faintly as they charged. Engineers in Seoul, Denver, Cape Town, and Buenos Aires monitored precise synchronization codes, coordinating strikes down to the millisecond. Every city, every desert plateau, every mountaintop became part of a larger web, an invisible snare designed to lure the invaders directly into a perfect crossfire. Meanwhile, in the alien flagship Jalkar, the towering, biomechanical commander of the fleet, examined the approaching Earth with a mixture of irritation and disbelief. He had conquered countless worlds, subdued civilizations that claimed the stars as their own. Yet the readings from this planet defied logic. Signals were scattered, defenses masked, and yet something beneath it all hinted at an intelligence he hadn't accounted for. "They are hiding something," Jalkar growled in guttural tones that reverberated through the command vessel. His appendages, long and segmented, tapped erratically across the control console. "No species can be this primitive, yet this organized. Prepare the scouts. I will uncover their weakness." Back on the horizon vanguard, Adrian's pulse quickened as the alien fleet entered the first corridor of the trap. From orbit, the decoy satellites twinkled innocently, their false signals painting the illusion of weak, disorganized defenses. And just as the aliens anticipated, their scouts veered toward them, drawn like moths to a flame. "They've taken the bait," Adrian said, voice low but full of controlled tension. "All stations maintain readiness. Do not fire until the designated moment. We wait for maximum effect." Sarah glanced at him, wide-eyed. "Sir, it's incredible. They're so predictable. They don't even realize we've been manipulating every step of their approach." "That's the beauty of patience," Adrian replied. "The predator thinks it hunts, but in reality, it's the prey setting the rules." From the stations on Earth, railgun arrays hummed to life. Electromagnetic coils charged in silence, storing colossal amounts of energy. The human fleet, small, almost insignificant compared to the alien monstrosities, remained in the shadows, ready to provide last-minute coordination, but intentionally invisible. The aliens would never know that the Earth they thought defenseless was, in truth, a death trap in motion. Hours stretched into a tense standoff. The alien fleet had begun scanning the moon's surface, noting the decoys but failing to comprehend their true purpose. Jalkar's command issued rapid adjustments, rerouting vessels to avoid perceived obstacles. Every movement, however, had been anticipated by Dr. Carter and her team. "Adjusting fire coordinates," Evelyn said softly, her hands moving with fluid precision across the holographic interface. "Every change they make puts them in a better position for us. They're unwittingly aligning themselves for orbital and terrestrial strikes simultaneously." Adrian let out a slow breath. "This is it. Everything comes down to this alignment. Once the lead ships are within range, there will be no escape." Then suddenly a streak of light appeared on the sensors, a small alien scout attempting to break formation. Sarah's fingers danced across the console. "Sir, they're probing the trap. One of the scouts is moving outside the predicted path." Adrian's eyes narrowed. "Good. Let it think it has freedom. Let it believe it has found a weakness." Dr. Carter's voice was steady, almost serene in its precision. "Every deviation, every adjustment, confirms our calculations. The final coordinates are locked. The railguns will fire simultaneously once they enter the kill zone. Timing is perfect." Outside, the alien vessels continued their approach, unaware of the orchestrated disaster awaiting them. Each ship moved with confidence, their patterns elegant and deadly, yet fundamentally flawed. They were prey in disguise as predators, and every second brought them closer to destruction. Adrian's heart raced, but he kept his focus razor sharp. "All stations confirm synchronization. We cannot afford error. One misfire, one miscalculation, and it's over." "Synchronization is confirmed," Sarah said. Her fingers hovered over the final activation panel. "All Continental railgun arrays are ready. Timing is synchronized to the millisecond. Once the command is given—" "Yes," Adrian said, his voice firm. "Then the trap springs." In the alien flagship, Jalkar roared, frustrated at the inconsistencies in the data. They are hiding something. They must have defenses we cannot see. Deploy additional probes. I will uncover them. But every action Jalkar took played right into humanity's hands. The fleet's adjustments inadvertently pushed them deeper into the kill zones, closer to the railgun trajectories, closer to the decoys that had been carefully positioned to channel them into confined corridors. Hours of tense waiting culminated in the moment before chaos, a quiet so thick it seemed to press against the walls of the command deck. Adrian felt the familiar weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders, a mix of fear, adrenaline, and determination. "Prepare for strike," he ordered, voice calm yet absolute. Once they're fully aligned, "We fire!" Sarah's hands trembled slightly as she activated the system. "Coordinates confirmed. All railguns armed. Waiting for your signal, sir." Dr. Carter's voice cut through the tension like steel. "They're inside the zone. Every vessel is aligned as planned. This is it." Adrian's gaze swept over the screens, lingering on the alien vessels moving blindly into the trap. He allowed himself a rare, grim smile, then let them discover the price of underestimating humanity. Beyond the station, in the silent void, the stage was set. Predators and prey had switched places without either realizing it. The first salvo of destruction was only moments away, and the aliens had no idea that their arrogance had become their undoing. Adrian's final thought before giving the command was simple. They planned humanity's end. But they walked straight into our trap. The void beyond Earth's orbit was ablaze with fire and metal. The alien fleet, once an imposing wall of calculated menace, was now scattered wreckage, drifting helplessly in space. Each vessel, torn apart by railgun fire from orbit and ground-based arrays, was a monument to human ingenuity, a testament to the fact that strategy, patience, and cunning could outmatch raw power. Commander Adrian Hayes stood on the bridge of the Horizon Vanguard, his eyes scanning the carnage. He had seen war before, but never like this, never on this scale, and never where the battlefield was as vast as the solar system itself. Every flicker on the monitors represented a ship reduced to scrap. Every streak of light a life extinguished in a civilization that had assumed it was invincible. "Sir," Lieutenant Sarah Kim said, her voice tight but steady. "The remaining alien capital ships are attempting to regroup. They're trying to form a defensive perimeter, but their formation is unstable. One more coordinated strike and it's over." Adrian's jaw clenched. "Then we make it decisive. No hesitation, no half measures. Humanity doesn't just defend itself, it finishes the fight." Dr. Evelyn Carter approached, her holographic projections detailing every alien vessel's movement. "We've calculated every vector," she said, her fingers tracing precise strike paths in the air. "If we fire now, the remaining ships will have no chance. They've underestimated our reach, our timing, and our willingness to wait for the perfect moment." Adrian nodded, feeling the familiar weight of command settle on him like armor. "All stations confirm final targeting. Once we fire, there's no turning back." On Earth, the coordinated human strike was a marvel of engineering and discipline. From the deserts of Nevada to the plains of Siberia, railguns hummed with accumulated energy, every shot synchronized to strike at the precise moment. Orbital stations, satellites, and hidden command arrays communicated at lightning speed, ensuring that even the fastest alien adjustments would be met with countermeasures. Humanity's networked intelligence had become a living, calculating entity, and the aliens were about to pay the price for underestimating it. Above the chaos, Jalkar, the alien fleet commander, seethed in frustration aboard his flagship. He had expected submission or at least a fight he could control. Yet every move he made was anticipated, manipulated, and exploited. His biomechanical limbs clenched the control interface as his voice hissed across the alien comm channels. How is this possible?" "They are primitive, yet flawless in execution. Deploy all weapons. Crush them before they strike again." But it was too late. Adrian's voice cut across the Horizon Vanguard, calm yet commanding. "Fire." A streak of molten metal erupted from the first railgun array, accelerating toward the nearest alien vessel with terrifying speed. It pierced the hull with a thunderous impact that reverberated across the monitors. Sparks erupted, Systems failed, and the ship broke apart in a brilliant cascade of fire and debris. One by one, every railgun across the globe launched their deadly projectiles, striking simultaneously. The precision of the strikes left no room for escape. Sarah watched the displays, her breath caught in her chest. They're falling apart. It's working exactly as predicted. Dr. Carter's lips pressed into a thin line. They had no idea we could coordinate on this scale. Their arrogance was their undoing. Every calculation, every step was a trap, and they walked into it willingly. In space, alien vessels twisted and turned, attempting evasive maneuvers, but the human strike net was inexorable. Ships that had been counted on to dominate entire star systems now became drifting wreckage. Even Jalkar's flagship, the largest and most heavily armored, was finally pierced by a series of simultaneous hits. Explosions blossomed across its hull like fiery flowers in the black void. Adrian allowed himself a brief moment to absorb the enormity of the scene. The galaxy had often underestimated humanity, dismissing Earth as insignificant, weak, or primitive. Yet here, in the silence between stars broken only by explosions, humanity had demonstrated a different truth. Patience, cunning, and innovation could overcome even the most advanced foe. "Sir," Sarah said softly, almost in awe, "they're transmitting a message." "Jalkar, it's fragmented, but—" Adrian leaned forward, eyes narrowing. He caught the hissed, distorted translation on the monitors. "You are clever, but this is not over." He didn't reply. Words were unnecessary. The alien threat for now had been neutralized. The fleet was shattered, scattered, and retreating or burning in the void. Humanity had survived when all odds seemed insurmountable. The crew of the Horizon Vanguard allowed themselves a moment of quiet. The adrenaline of anticipation gave way to a profound sense of relief, tempered by the knowledge that victory had come at a price. Satellites had been destroyed, some ground installations damaged, and the potential for alien retaliation still loomed. But Earth had survived the first strike, and more importantly, it had sent a clear message. Adrian's eyes drifted to the stars, the same indifferent canvas that had watched over humanity for eons. Yet now humanity had left its mark. It was no longer the prey, it was the predator, and the galaxy would remember it. Sarah approached, placing a hand on his shoulder. "We did it," she said softly. "We actually did it. We survived," Adrian nodded slowly. "Yes, but it's more than survival. They planned humanity's end, and instead, they walked straight into our trap. That's a message every civilization in the galaxy will hear if they're paying attention." Dr. Carter stepped forward, eyes reflecting the holographic flames of alien wreckage. "We've proven that patience and intellect can match brute strength. But we've also proven something else. We're ready for anything." In the void, fires of destruction slowly dimmed, leaving behind only debris and silence. The alien fleet that had come to annihilate Earth was now a graveyard. Drifting as testimony to human foresight and determination, Adrian exhaled, feeling the weight of leadership loosen for the first time in days. "This isn't the end," he said quietly, more to himself than anyone else. "It's a beginning, a warning. Humanity will survive, and any who underestimate us again will pay the price." Sarah glanced at him, a trace of a smile breaking her weary expression. "So, we live to fight another day?" Adrian allowed himself a rare, short laugh. "We live to show the galaxy that Earth isn't weak, that humanity isn't prey, and that sometimes the hunter becomes the hunted." As the Horizon Vanguard drifted in orbit, the crew watched the distant remnants of the alien fleet. The battle was over, but the lesson was eternal. Humanity had survived not because of luck or brute strength, but because it had outthought, outplanned, and outwitted an enemy that assumed superiority. Somewhere deep in the cosmos, scattered signals from the destroyed alien vessels whispered warnings to their kin. Earth was not a planet to conquer easily. Humanity had set the trap, humanity had struck, and humanity would endure. The stars, once indifferent, now seemed to watch with a new awareness. Earth had survived the impossible, And from the wreckage, a new era of vigilance, strength, and unyielding resolve was beginning. Adrian Hayes turned from the viewport, eyes hard but burning with quiet triumph. "They planned humanity's end," he said. "But we showed them the truth. You never underestimate the human mind. You never underestimate Earth. And you never walk blindly into a trap." The galaxy was listening, and humanity's roar, though silent in the vacuum of space, had already echoed farther than anyone could measure.